Well, Nan just talked about whole grains and how important it was for us to get more whole grains in our diet. But today I want to focus on one of those grains, and it's a very important grain to Kentucky, and that's wheat. Wheat is the fourth largest value cash crop that we have in the state of Kentucky. Right here, right in South Central Kentucky, we have some of the largest wheat growing counties in the state. Now, what we raise here, there's a lot of different types of wheat. And what we raise in Kentucky is soft red winter wheat. So it's out there in the fields right now. It's one of the first things that green up in the spring, and it's a great crop for our farmers to use in their rotation. But what is wheat used for? Wheat is used primarily to make flour. Now, our soft red winter wheat, what we use it for is for cookies, bread, pizza dough, some of my favorite things. That's what we use with our wheat. But there are other wheats out there that go into making all the different flours and flour products that you see in the grocery store. But when you go through the grocery store, have you ever thought, what's the difference between all these different types of flour? Well, let's clear up some of that today. Your all-purpose flour. Your all-purpose flour is just that. You can use it for about anything: cinnamon rolls, cookies, cakes, baking. And basically what that does is it's enriched. And what enriched means is it's added some of the nutrients back. Folic acid is one of those taken out in the production process. And so all purpose is you can use it for anything. It is enriched, but it is made with hard and soft winter wheats. It's kind of a combination, a blend of both, and that's what makes it great for all purpose. Now, whole wheat. Whole wheats are used in a lot of our breads, a lot of our pizza dough. It's a lot denser, has a darker color. And what it is used, it's the whole kernel. So we take the whole kernel of the wheat, it's milled, and with our whole wheat, it's red winter wheat. And so it's a hard wheat, and that's what gives it that darker color. A lot of times when you see whole wheat bread, it has a darker color than your normal bread. Well, that's why, because it's that red wheat. Now, my family's favorite is the white whole wheat. And a lot of people say, well, it's just, bleached. But it's not. Actually, the white whole wheat is a different type of wheat. It's actually a white wheat variety, and that's what gives it the lighter color. It also is not as dense. It has a little bit milder of a flavor, and that's how I can get my kids to eat the whole grain flours, but still make it palatable for them. So if you haven't tried white whole wheat, you might give it a try. Another one is whole grain flour, and whole grains is not just limited to wheat. It can be corn, it can be sorghum. It's still the whole seed, the whole grain, but it can be other types of grain added in with that flour along with wheat. So whole grain is that. Gluten. Gluten flour is mainly used with bakers. The gluten, what it does, it's high in protein but lower in starch. And so it gives us that really nice dough consistency. And a lot of your commercial bakers will add gluten flour to maybe something that they might need a little help with depending on temperatures. And then you'll see bread flour, and we also use that a lot in our home. And bread flour is basically flour with a little bit more gluten flour added into it, and that helps with our baking consistency. And the last one that you'll probably see in your normal wheat aisle is your self-rising flour. And your self-rising flour, it's all-purpose flour with some salt and leavening agent added to it. Mainly used for biscuits and those type of things, anything that you need just a little bit of that rise to. And so normally in a recipe that calls for self-rising flour, we don't add any more salt or any more baking powder or baking soda because it already has it in there. So hopefully when you go through the flour aisle next time, you can be proud of our wheat farmers that help raise the wheat that goes into the flour, and maybe know just a little bit more about the grains and the flours that you're consuming. But if you have questions, you can certainly contact the Extension office. We'd be happy to help. There's also a great website, eatwheat.org. It has all the information on there, a lot of stories from wheat farmers, primarily in Kansas, because that is like the #1 wheat growing state. But it's important right here to our farmers in Kentucky, and we appreciate them growing this safe, affordable product for us.